It's easy to exaggerate with the past few mini bosses and say they were utterly terrible, or at the very least, disappointing. Mini bosses are important for Duel Links because they provide an easy way for players to build competent decks without the need to spend money. The bosses have less paths to go through compared to a main bot, so whereas it would cost you 30,000 gems to fully go through a main boss 3 times, it would only cost you 15,000 gems for 3 rounds of a mini boss. Decks like Shiranu and Ritual Beast are as popular as they are, not only because they are strong contenders on the ladder, but also because they were in mini bosses and have budget builds that even free-to-play users can make and succeed with. Does Arena of Sanctuary meet the standards of other mini bosses? Does it appeal to either the casual or competitive side of Duel Links? Let's find out. The cover archetype of the bots, Valkyries, are well known in the Yu-Gi-Oh community for botting Twitter polls and filling up packs with near unplayable cards, but let's see if they can find a home in Duel Links. Brunhild is a level 7 that is unaffected by your opponent's spell effects and gains 500 attack for each monster your opponent controls, going up to a whopping 2800 attack. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can have this card lose exactly 1000 defense, and if you do, your Valkyrie monsters cannot be destroyed by battle this turn, but you still take the damage. It has no way to special summon itself onto the field, and the effect is really mediocre, and you'll find it dead in your hand more often than not, even if there are Valkyrie cards that can special summon it. I don't really recommend running even one of them. Sigrun is a level 9 that can special summon itself from your hand by sending a face-up spell or trap card you control to the grave. If this card is normal summoned or special summoned, you can special summon a level 8 or lower Valkyrie monster from your hand or graveyard, and each effect of Sigrun is a hard once per turn. By running a skill like Crawler's Middle-Aged Mets or Field Spell skill, you'll have easy fodder for Sigrun's effect, and you can get your plays going. Sechest is a mixed bag. It's a level 1, which means it doesn't have to be special summoned, but when it is, you can special summon any Valkyrie monster from your deck, which is great. It also has the effect that during your main phase, you can send the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck to the graveyard, and I highly recommend never activating this second effect, except in one matchup, which is the Shadow Game matchup. When you get this card's first effect off, this card's great, and otherwise it's utterly useless. I think running 1 is fine though. Urda is a level 8 with mediocre stats, but tries to make up for it with its effect that while she's on your field, special summoned by the effect of a Valkyrie card, all face-up monsters your opponent controls lose 1000 attack, and any monster destroyed by battle or card effect that would be sent to your opponent's graveyard is banished instead. You can only control one Urda. Being able to banish cards is a fantastic effect, but completely useless if you can't get the ball rolling and actually special summon your Urda, but I think running 1 is fine. Juliet is a level 5 that can pop a monster on summon, and after it battles, can recur a continuous spell from your grave, which is why I like running Middle-Aged Mets with this deck. Oddly enough, Valkyries didn't gain continuous spells in this bot, so maybe you can add Valhalla, though Middle-Aged Mets is perfectly fine. Its first effect is the best part about it, especially since it's on any kind of summon. Maybe running the new Star Blast will be necessary for this deck, who knows. Treat is a level 4 that on summon can add a Valkyrie card from your deck to your hand except itself. It's a hard once per turn, and it also gains 200 attack for each of your opponent's banished monsters. A Searcher is great for any deck, and will most likely be a 3 of in Valkyries. The attack boosting effect is just the sprinkles on top, it doesn't really matter that much. Vierte is a level 3 and has the effect that during your main phase you can activate the top cards of your deck equal to the number of other Valkyrie monsters you control, and if you do, you can add 1 activated normal spell or trap to your hand. Also send the remaining cards to the graveyard. Otherwise you shuffle all the activated cards back into the deck. Being able to add pretty much any normal spell or trap in the game, including cards like Super Team Buddy Force Unite, which synergizes really well with this deck, or Tarmika, to your hand is really strong, but it's dependent on getting kinda lucky. Also, when Vierte is destroyed by battle and sent to the grave, you can special summon 1 Valkyrie monster from your deck. Each effect of Vierte is a hard once per turn. It's too bad that the second effect is only when it's destroyed by battle, since you'll probably be normal summoning this card to get its first effect, but at least you can ram it into something to get the special summon off. Fonte is a level 2 that reads Valkyrie monsters you control gain 200 attack for each of your opponent's banished monsters. If you control a Valkyrie monster other than itself, you can send a spell or trap from your deck to the grave. First effect isn't really reliable in this deck, as I said before, and the second effect isn't that good. Next, we have the 2 chariots, Fortune Chariot and Valkyrie Chariot. Fortune Chariot lets monsters it's equipped to attack directly, but the damage is halved. Valkyrie Chariot permanently boosts your Valkyrie monster's attack by 500, even if Valkyrie Chariot leaves the field. Neither of these cards are worth a slot in a competent Valkyrie build in my opinion. They're too slow and gimmicky for their own good. Onto the back row, I would say there's only 2 cards that are worth talking about. Valkyrie's Embrace is a really strong spell that can banish your opponent's face-up monster by switching your attack position Valkyrie monster to defense. It's great removal for this deck, and I highly recommend running at least 2, maybe even 3. The next card is Apple of Enlightenment, which can banish cards from your opponent's graveyard up to the number of Valkyrie monsters you control, and if your opponent tries to remove your Apple of Enlightenment from the field, you get to draw cards equal to the number of Valkyrie monsters you control plus 1. It's solid disruption for the deck, especially when you have a full field. Valkyries are a deck that when they get going, they can make a pretty formidable board, ideally with 3 monsters and a bunch of strong back row to support them. They're a deck that relies on getting the snowball rolling and keeping it going. The ability for Vierte to search any normal spell or trap in the game adds a lot of flexibility to the deck in what it can run in terms of back row. Here's a sample deck list if you feel like trying the deck out for yourself. What's next? Watts, of course. While we already had some Watt cards previously, these cards will revolutionize how we play Watts, aka now it's an attack directly and hope it goes through the deck. All the new Watt monsters can attack directly, so I won't be repeating that. Pheasant can banish a monster until the end phase when it does direct damage. Cobra can add a Watt monster from your deck to your hand when it does direct damage, and Giraffe stops your opponent from activating cards or effects until the end phase when it does direct damage. All these cards are trash except for Cobra because searching is great. Playing this deck will be extremely linear, summon Watt, set up a bunch of back row, protect your monsters as they poke your opponent down, yada yada. Here's a deck list, but the back row is very replaceable. We also got a few Treadstar cards, but hardly any of the ones that made Treadstar strong in the TCG, and nothing that'll make them strong in Duel Links either. They're not even worth talking about. Next, onto the random support cards for already existing archetypes that were thrown into this box. Karakuri's got a few unique cards in this box. Kunamzan can special summon itself from your hand by changing the battle position of a Karakuri monster you control, but then this card is treated as a tuner. Free bodies are always appreciated, especially for synchro decks, and because it turns itself into a tuner, Kunamzan plus Merchant can easily go into Beret to make huge boards. Cash In is a trap that changes your Karakuri's battle position to negate the effects of an opponent's monster until the end of the turn. Also, you can banish this card from your grave to change the battle position of any monster on the field. This gives the deck not only built-in interruptions, but also battle position changing on any monster, even your opponent's monsters. So you can use this to facilitate plays or get over bigger monsters more easily. Lastly, they got Gamma Oil, which special summons a Karakuri monster from the graveyard, and the equipped monster gains 500 attack if a Karakuri changes its battle position once per turn. This boost stays even if this card leaves the field. If it's going to be run at all, it's going to be used to facilitate synchro plays, but Karakuris didn't even play Iron Call, which has been in the game for a really long time, so I don't think they'll run this. Overall, I think Kunamzan is great for the deck, and Cash In is neat, but it doesn't solve Karakuri's main problem, which is playing through back row and interruptions, so they'll still be very reliant on drawing their Hatronades and Cosmic Cyclones. Straps finally got Scrapyard, which searches for any Scrap tuner. Straps are still very reliant on their field spell, Scrap Factory, to make any decent plays. Until we have a reliable way of searching or activating Scrap Factory from the deck, I think Straps will always remain mediocre, which is unfortunate since I think the deck is really cool. Triomid Sphinx is a good boss monster for Triomid, and because it's searchable, I think they'll only need to run one. It helps in certain matchups where it would take forever to boost with Dancer. It doesn't make the deck tier worthy, but it's a nice boost. The new Arcana Force boss monster should have been free in event, and I don't even know what's doing here. It's not even good at all. Finally, we're onto the miscellaneous cards of the bots. This isn't the Trishula we wanted, it's way too resource intensive to summon, plus there aren't even any good dragon decks in this box. It definitely has future potential though. Explorer Dragonling can destroy any monster it battles with at the start of the damage step, and then you do burn damage equal to the destroyed monster's attack. If there's a deck that can summon it, I think it'll be a pretty good piece of removal, but as of right now, it doesn't have a home, and I still think Samurai Destroyer is better in most cases. Last but not least, the most competitive card of the bots, Tarmika. Discard a card, banish a face-up monster your opponent controls, and all copies of that card in the grave. We all know it, we love it, or hate it, and now, we got it. People have been playing this card for months since it's been in the selection bots. It's unfortunate that it's trapped in this bots, but if you don't have it, now's the best chance to pick it up. As I've experimented more with some of the archetypes in this bots, my opinion of it has changed over the past few days. I used to think it was one of the worst mini bots ever released in the game, now I think it's just okay. None of the archetypes in here feel like they're trying to change the meta in any significant way, they're just decent. For free-to-play players, I think building Valkyries out of this bots isn't a horrible idea. Though there are better choices like the Shiranui or Ritual Beast bots, this deck does have Tina Games worthy potential with the right spells and traps. If you already own Trimids or Karakuris, this bots definitely provides a much needed and noticeable boost to these decks. For competitive players, the most significant thing this bots brought us was the Karakuri support and maybe Trishula if it ever finds the right deck to support it in the future. That'll do it for today's video, thanks for watching and have a good day.